Hello and welcome to PPC Live, the podcast, formerly known as PPC Chat Roundup. My name is Anu, the founder of PPC Live, and if you're used to hearing advice from PPC experts about how to ensure that we are keeping up with the ever-changing landscape, don't worry, you are still in the right place. But instead of relaying what the experts are saying, I'm going to be bringing the PPC experts to you. Every week, I'm going to be speaking to a different PPC expert about their biggest F-up, but also how they've turned things around. We'll share what has been disappointing, what has been surprising, and just how they got around things and turned things from what seemed like a failure to an amazing success and continue to be a success in their industry today. Today, we have the fantastic Elisabetta Nicoli, who is sharing about a targeting error that she had. This one, very much surprising responses from clients, internal team, and how, sometimes where you think that you'll get the support is not where you necessarily will get the support, and where you think you won't get the support is where you'll get actually the support. So you never know when it comes to mistakes. I also love the example she gives us to how she actually helps with the people that she manages understand that making mistakes is not the end of the world, how to make them comfortable to come to her about when a mistake happens by sharing her own tales of past mistakes as well. But yeah, let's go chat to Betty. Hello, Betty. Welcome to PPC Live, the podcast.
Hello, Anna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. True honor to be here.
It's such an absolute pleasure of mine. Like it's this kind of podcast, as we all know, it's about ups and turning things around, and not everybody's going to be comfortable to talk about that. Everyone just wants to remember the good bits in their careers, but we learn the most from our mistakes. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today to share your experience. And just to introduce Betty to you guys, on LinkedIn, you will see her as Elisabetta Nicoli, but she loves being called Betty, which is I feel very privileged to call her that. She's a paid media specialist with 9 years of experience in paid search and paid social across various markets, especially the UK, Europe, and the US. And she's experienced with working with B2B and B2C clients, delivering results through platforms like Google Ads, Microsoft, Meta, and LinkedIn. I always find when I find someone who actually specializes in LinkedIn, I've got to do hats to you guys. That is a complicated one that every time you hear people talk about it, it's like too expensive, very hard. How does anyone make it work? So thank you for your service to your clients. Interesting fact about Betty as well. We bonded over this. She's Italian. Oh, I love Italy. I love going there all the time. And I feel like you had the lucky experience of at least experiencing COVID at home, being at home with family in Italy. But she came back to the lovely northern part of the UK of Manchester. We hung out at Manchester PCR. It's PCR Manchester.
Yeah.
It's early in the month, which is really nice. Outside being a devoted paid search marketer and loving her hometown, she also has run the half marathon in Manchester. She did that last year, has signed up for it this year as well. Loves a bit of hiking, yoga, walking with the dog, and some sourdough baking. So what's the most interesting fact, like an unknown fact that people don't know about sourdough baking that you find very interesting?
Oh, yeah. The starter, which is the thing you use to make the bread, is alive. So because it has all the bacteria in it, and that's what makes the bread rise, it's actually like a living group of things, and you have to keep it alive. So it's a continuous job to keep alive your starter. So it requires a lot, not just skills, but love and attention. It's like a pet. When I go on holiday, I usually give it to my friends. I give my sourdough starter, my plant, and my dog. It's like my family.
Oh wow, that's your trifecta of your sanity. I'm feeding,
Yeah.
and starter and stuff. And how long can a starter last without going off and still being able to be usable? Because I hear they can last years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you keep feeding it forever, there are some, I don't know, but I think in Japan, there's the oldest starter ever, and it's a couple of centuries old.
Oh, wow.
But you have to feed it, otherwise it will die. So
What do you mean?
ideally,
What do you mean feed it? What are you feeding? Like plants?
yes.
Some no, feed vegetables.
just flour and water. It's, yeah, the bacteria eats the flour and make that airy, bubbly thing that makes the bread rise.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, I hear loads of people have they really got into.
Yeah, it's a millennial thing, right? Midlife crisis.
I think it was a
I
packaging
mean,
thing as well. For me, I turned to banana
yeah.
bread. Banana bread. Everyone's making banana bread. Doesn't need a starter or anything. Just any bananas that are going off. Or like, yeah, just put some flour in there.
Yeah, I've been there as well.
Okay. Anyway, enough of that for fun getting to know you bit. But yeah, like our audience are excited to hear about the learnings that you're going to bring to us, about your experience with a past mistake that you've had. As I've started to say, really, we never leave on a defeated note. This is about learning how things turned around and why you're still a great PPC expert to go to, because you've weathered the storm. You've weathered the storm of this mistake and you'll never make this kind of mistake again. So let's teach our audiences on how to get around that. Yeah. Betty, what's the F up you want to share with us today?
Yeah, 100% I agree with you. So the F up I want to share today, it's something that happened a good few years ago, but I wasn't super junior. I was still already a good few years in my career. And I just want to say, because when I set the scene, and no, it wasn't just like the naive mistake of someone who had just started in PPC, and just show that everybody can make mistakes, even when you are a seasoned PPCer. And yeah, our client, I've always worked agency side. At the time I was working in this agency, I was the only person doing PPC. The team around me was doing SEO, content, etc. So I was the only one responsible for the campaigns. And the client was lead gen B2B and advertising in the UK mainly, but also in Europe. And we were running this activity in English, but also targeting in Europe. And specifically, this campaign I want to talk about was meant to target countries in Southern Europe, but with English keywords and ad copies and landing page, etc. So I wasn't expected huge volumes because I'm Italian. I know people in Southern Europe usually tend to search in their own language and click ad and search results in their own language because we don't have that familiarity with English. So anyway, launched this campaign. It was basically just a replica of the UK campaigns, but with a different targeting. I launched the campaigns, keep checking it, run the usual SQRs. Nothing really strikes me as wrong. We had a lot of negative keywords already from the other campaigns. It was in English, and the performance was actually really good. Low CPL, high conversion rates, and high volumes. I was like, oh, surprisingly, I didn't expect that. So then at the beginning of the following month, when I went to do the monthly report, I just wanted to check which countries within Southern Europe was the best performing, etc. And when I click on the location targeting report, I realized that I didn't add any countries. And I'm not saying I left the default people interested in or in option in the location. I literally didn't add any targeting, which meant that it was targeting the whole word, because if you don't add anything, it will just target the whole word. So the list of countries I was seeing, it was like the likes of APAC, countries in APAC, US, South America. Oh my God. I was just in it. And I was really upset with myself because how could I make such a silly mistake? It's one of the main things when you launch a campaign. But working agency side, especially myself, I was the only person doing PPC. And I know these are not excuses, but it's just sometimes it does happen that you do so many things fast. And yeah, sometimes something slips through the net. It just happens.
Absolutely. And look, this is a shameless plug. This is why you need community. This is why the PPC Live community has so many folks also still in your position of, I'm the only PPC person in this team. Look, that's even agency. Yeah, I'm even surprised to hear that from the fact that it's agency side. You heard a lot of this from brands. Yeah, in-house. Yeah, you're the only PPC person for that brand. Someone else is like email marketing, or someone else is like the SEO person. All the changes, all the things that need to be updated. how can you really be relying on one person to know all of that, or even someone to help to double check your work?
Yeah.
You could be the best in the business, but sometimes you just maybe just didn't sleep well the night before, or it just happens, or
Yeah.
weather just turns weird on us and something happens. You know these things. These are not excuses. These are valid reasons as to why the list of things you just miss. And then maybe someone else could look at it and be like, are you sure that location document is not supposed to be there? And that someone could have helped me with that. So I really feel for those people who are like, yeah, I'm the only PPC person in this team. And that is part, I honestly do think, is part of the problem. So you found the mistake. You saw that the location targeting had gone off. You panicked a bit. You said that already. So let's not go into the how did you feel? How you felt? You felt awful. You panicked a bit. What was your communication plan? How did you then
Yes.
communicate the mistake? Who knew? Who found out next to you?
Yeah, I had technically no one would have probably found out if I didn't say anything, or probably in the report. But anyway, my approach to mistakes is that whatever happens, you have to say it. It's better to be honest. And I do think clients and your manager appreciate, because I do as a manager, appreciate and value the honesty and transparency. It's where trust gets built, I think. And so back in the day, my manager wasn't, her background was in search, because again, the team was so diverse, but she had my back. She understood where I was coming from. Like you said, when you are just one person, you've got a lot of responsibilities and mistakes just happen, but you don't have someone else to rely on. And of course, she asked me why that happened and what I could do not to make it happen again. I think the most difficult part was obviously speak to the client about it, because again, yeah. No, with the client, it was fine. So on the client side, the manager we were dealing with, she also had experience in PPC in the past. So she knew where this mistake was coming from. Obviously, she was upset, but we had a good relationship with this client based on the year previously good results. We even, as an agency, suggested to refund the money. It wasn't much. It was just a couple of grand. But they said it was fine. And I think that was a statement of the good relationship. They appreciated the honesty, transparency, the effort, and make amends, and the plan not to make that happen again. And yeah, in terms of the campaigns, because it was good results, we shared obviously the learnings of it. We couldn't very much use them. Also, it was lead generation, and it was back at a time when offline conversion import wasn't a thing. So we're talking about 6-7 years ago. So I couldn't really see the quality of the leads that we drove, and we had to rely on them and giving us the feedback. Yeah. And I don't think anything came out of those leads. In some instances, they couldn't really go on with the process because they were locations where they wouldn't operate. So they couldn't use those leads. But we shared the data anyway, and it was a costly exercise of forecasting search intent and search volume around the world in a way, if you want to see it on the positive side. And like I said, they appreciated the honesty. And another aspect that was difficult about it was to share with client service team, because I always feel, well, not always, often feel, and I always felt that in my career, sometimes the client service team doesn't get what we do and doesn't really understand why mistakes can happen. And they feel so close to the client that sometimes they get more upset than the client. They made a full thing about it, and then the client was fine. So I was like, why did you make me feel bad when you are my colleague? You work with me. You should protect me with the client. You are the one that builds that relationship, and you built it to go through the bad and the good. Yeah.
Also make a note here, because I'm going to refer to something I wrote last week, that I saw you.
Yeah.
The reaction was strong within, and I was like, this time I'm hearing this story. You can verify that with me.
Yeah.
First time, so I didn't know Betty had this experience in client services and being annoyed. And last week, I put up this post and I was like, good morning to everybody apart from those client service team members who almost work like if they're like the yes men to the client instead of being a teammate to your actual colleagues, your actual channel partner. And I saw Betty going, yes, come. Actually, like, I didn't realize it would hit the nerve, but now I understand
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yeah, I bet so many of us.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but so many of us share that frustration and sometimes not vocalized because obviously they're in your team. So it's
Yeah. But because you work in an agency still now.
yes, I do.
You've got
Yeah.
a good relationship with your client service team and like,
Yeah, I think so. It's a lot of education. Let's put it this way. Yeah. So
that's an interesting aspect. And I don't think even any of my previous guests have spotted that about how, because yeah, I was going to come to a question of whose reaction surprised you the most. And I think that is very much why is a client service team member being or losing their ish over this when the client themselves are actually okay with their thing. So yeah, you've got to be prepared for several different departments getting into a tiff about things. But remember, it's the client that matters. And also it's the result, it's the communication, and yeah, the understanding. And it sounds like everyone involved acted well to it. So yeah, I'm happy for you for how that turned out. Looking back though, let's say, so that mistake that was made, would you feel like even before, because it took you, I hate to be like, oh, let's pick out how,
let's remove the trauma.
well, it did sound like it did take a while for you to realize it. Is there something like just to get our listeners to be like, pay attention to XYZ kind of thing so that it doesn't take you to a month to find it? What's your advice for what you could have done differently during that month you feel like you didn't do?
First of all, I changed, following that, I changed, not that I changed the approach, but I started using a checklist after building a campaign, something that I was using as when I was junior, but then I stopped using it because I was like, I'm so confident I can do it. Yeah. So that is a lesson as well. And never let your confidence skip the check part. And yeah, so now I have a checklist and I always check every single one of it before launching the campaign, before pressing the live button. Like you mentioned earlier, it would have been easier if I wasn't the only person because you can always ask someone else to Q&A your campaigns before going live. And for example, that's something that we do in our team as well. But another thing that I would say, and that was part of the problem, is always go into the details of the campaigns, even when results are good, because that's what led me to believe that everything was fine. I didn't spot it because nothing flagged as wrong. Actually, it was good. But in a way, it was too good to be true because I knew that the Southern Europe countries couldn't have that much volume or behind the English keywords. And I just thought, yes, that's good. That's fine. But so I guess the learning here is to really start questioning even the good results, especially when they're too good to be true. Sometimes they're not true.
Yeah, sometimes they're not true. And sometimes you want to even just double check to know exactly what's going on so that you can replicate it. Because if it's not expected, and yeah, it did so well, because those are the kind of areas I think just literally the episode before this one of my good friends, Kate Luke, she was like, actually, yeah, the mistake we made actually made us realize that, yeah, that targeting, because it was more of like a targeting level for ROAS. And so she made it a bit too high. And then they got all this new volume. And you was like, oh my God, that's not how much you should have spent. But then all this new volume brought in good quality traffic, good quality leads. And they actually realized, actually, we should be using that new targeting. That was a mistake. But because, it went really well, but it actually came to good results. And yeah.
All right. That was my dog.
We've got a lively dog. Her request is agreeing with everybody there. That's hidden agreement. I love it. Saying that we definitely double check. Thank you. What's your dog's name?
Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy is in agreement. Listen to Rudy, everybody. Double check everything, even if it's looking good. Going on to our next question, like what advice, someone is going through this like situation as well. They found a location targeting error and they've seen it, they're panicking. What's your advice to them?
I would say just own it. Own your mistakes, be accountable for them. Not Do not try to hide it, because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, maybe no one would have found out, but what if they did? So it's always better to be honest. That's my approach in life and at work. So yeah, just own it. And it's not the end of the world. What I always tell my team, if you worked with me, you've probably heard me saying this many times, and it's, we're not saving lives. It's just money. Money comes and goes. We'll fix it. There will always a way to fix it. Don't lose your sleep over it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Very much.
But I think what I'd also like us to even touch on is that you said that you had a very understanding manager, and because I think it can be easy to just say, own your mistake. But if you have a manager who seems very scary, they're like, yeah, I want to, but I don't want to lose my job. And the last person who owned their mistake lost their job. Now, what do I, kind of thing? Your advice to managers to why it's important to instill a culture of, look, if you make a mistake, don't hide it. Like, so let's talk to managers now. What would be your advice on on how to instill the confidence for people to
yeah, that's what I do with my team when they start, especially when they're super junior and they are scared. They are scared of making mistakes, also because they don't want to be perceived as stupid or not good at their job. So they will tend to hide in shame if something goes wrong. So one of the first things I tell them is, you're going to make mistakes, and you will learn from your mistakes more than from anything else, more from anything that goes right. And another thing I do is I usually share my mistakes like this once, or actually way more than this. Yeah, I share them with them, and because they can remember it and be, obviously what went wrong for you, it's now one of the first things you check. So that's how you learn. So if I pass them my mistakes to them, and I say, oh, this is what goes wrong, maybe they'll be like, oh, yeah, she said that. So maybe I should double check that. But also to make myself human to them. And if I have the courage to say, look, I'm here, I'm your manager, I've got 9 years of experience, but earlier in my career, I did this and this. It turned out fine. Look, I'm here. So please don't be afraid of making mistakes. Also, because ultimately, if you don't make mistakes if you don't do anything, but if you do it, yeah, you're gonna end up making mistakes. And yeah, that old say that says, I think in digital it's very much ask for forgiveness, not permission. We will forgive.
Yeah, things will work out as long as there's good intentions. They try behind what you're testing, what you felt that needed to be done. Yeah, be bold, be brave, because that's where you actually push the boundaries. That's where you learn. That's where you're doing, I feel, the most for your clients, not when you make a mistake, but when you test things, because the people who have really tested, the people who have made the mistakes are the people who are actually, those who are actually really trying to test things, figure new things out, doing something different, trying to find new opportunities for their clients. And all those people have made a mistake on one way or the other and have learned, okay, shouldn't have done that. Oh, I need to be double checking that. Oh, yeah. So guys, you're in good company of the experts if you feel like, oh my God, I'm making mistakes, but don't worry about it too much. And managers, represent yourself as human. Don't, once you've trusted an employee to be on your team, be honest about what could go wrong so that they can learn from your mistakes and understand that it's good to communicate about mistakes. That was a great story. Thank you again, Betty, for taking us through that and reliving that. I hope it's not too traumatic.
We do.
We'll power through. Let's now look at our industry and some of the mistakes they make, or some of the mistakes that you've seen that's made you go, what is going on? And even for me, it's the mistake of not talking about the mistakes.
Yeah.
Does our industry talk enough about mistakes, and why do you think it's important we do? I know, I feel that first question is a stupid question for me because everybody has got no, there is thing. So let's answer the why is it important to talk about our mistakes?
Yeah, like you said, it is important because you share it makes us all human, but also it's also sharing the learnings. But it's true, I don't think how most people do. And I get it. Also, like we all are on LinkedIn to be like employable and show the best side of ourselves. But again, I do believe that trust sparks where there's authenticity, and authenticity sometimes means being vulnerable and share the good and the bad. And for me, for example, when I look up at someone and I follow people on LinkedIn, when they share things that didn't go as well, I trust them more. I'm more interested in them. I'm really keen to learn more. And yeah, because it's easy to say, to share the good case studies, everything that went well, but really, we also want to know what didn't go well, because we can all learn from that. Even if every client, every account is different, knowing that it's helpful.
Yeah.
It's the sharing knowledge, and share not just the good side of the knowledge, but the bad ones as well.
And there's going to be, because with especially now, even more so than previous times, I'd actually even say in terms of location targeting, that's one of the minor mistakes. Right now, with all AI and know actually how to set up PMAX and knowing whether you can add negatives or not, and then using
Yeah.
RSAs and whether to use demand gen or not. And I'm like, it's a minefield. So knowing that you can speak about them and you can have a safe environment and you've got a safe community to do that with is so important. And maybe that is it. And that's why I'm hoping that this podcast will inspire people to be like, okay, this is the platform where I'll use. Maybe on LinkedIn, you can still talk about all your wins, but hopefully
Yeah.
here you can be vulnerable with people and then share it with even your employees and the people who you manage and say, look, I've made mistakes. Don't worry about them. We can figure it out. So,
Yeah.
we just need to create more platforms for this as well, I think. Also, in just terms of like our world of AI, we can't really escape it at all. Are there any like specific kind of mistakes that you see happening? And I know that I've talked to several guests about things like more of the don't use AI blindly in terms of to replace your work, that it should be like your junior PA. But like anything like specifically in terms of tactically, in terms of whether it's ad copy or bidding strategies kind of thing, that people use AI in a certain way that you think is a mistake.
Yeah, probably ad copies, like you said, not just always use it as a helping tool, but then always, not blindly, always double check. It's easy to spot how the copies has been written by AI, and sometimes the tone is not the brand tone. So always review it. Get the clients to review it as well, because the client, in my case, because I work agency side, the client knows their brand and their tone of voice better than anybody else. So there's nothing wrong with using AI to help you out, especially for me, it's the boring, repetitive task. And yeah, if that can help, absolutely. But yeah, always double check that, I guess. Yeah, but even keyword research, I do use AI to help me out with the keyword research. And sometimes it gives me idea that maybe just myself or the keyword planner wouldn't think of it. And always then bring it to, okay, do I really want to use it? Is it relevant or not? And again, don't just use it blindly. And I do think not most, but some people, if I was going to say, especially the most junior, but not in a bad way. I just think that when you're young, you're excited about AI and all the tools. And sometimes maybe you don't have that level of filter and experience to say, there's nothing wrong in using it, but always check it.
Yeah, always double check it. Definitely, that's the thing with AI. Always double check what it's giving you, and yeah, let it give you ideas. Let it help organize things.
Yeah.
But yeah, always double check it. Actually, that's it. Sorry, I was thinking like, I'm good. To be fair, we're doing a conversation on the AI topics and mistakes, but you've given us so many great learnings talking about mistakes, how authentic we need to be. I love all those lessons. It's really what we should be hearing right now. But yeah, before we leave the audience, I like asking one more question that has nothing to do with digital marketing, tangentially a little bit. But if your PPC career were a movie, what would the title be? It could be a movie that exists, or you could just create a brand new title for yourself. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a tricky question because it shows how not creative I am, being just numbers. But no, I think for this, and that connects to what we've just talked about, AI and the direction of our industry, I think it would be, and I'm like reusing a quote from The Leopard. It's a book, an Italian, famous Italian book, and it's everything needs to change to stay the same. And I like it because I think more than my career is probably depicts the industry where it's going. We've seen so many changes in the past, from manual bidding to smart bidding, voice search, and everything seemed to was said to change our jobs and the industry forever. But ultimately, yes, it does change and you have to adapt. But that's how then you keep everything the same in terms of doing your job and driving performance. So
fantastic. Yeah, everything needs to change to stay the same. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's such a lovely note to end on. And if people want to hear more about your thoughts or even when next we might see you speak, hopefully, at some event or the other, where can people find you online?
Yeah, definitely on LinkedIn. Quite active, sorry, but I definitely post, events or just my thoughts about the industry. So,
yes, please do keep doing more of that. We have too many like hustle bros who are all like, please, we need more of the feminine and actual factual stuff to
Oh my God, yes. Thank you.
That's why I keep doing it. That's why I keep doing it.
Thank you. Yes.
We need more of a variety, more diverse a range of the thoughts that we see on LinkedIn. Oh, bless. Thank you so much, Betty. That has been such a great chat. And thank you for joining our audience today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Betty, for sharing that very honest and transparent experience about, when location targeting setting goes wrong. But that's such a heartwarming way that you turned it around. You got the trust of your client again, even though client services, God. Anyway, go to my LinkedIn, find out what I think about that when client services people act like that. So let's just remember that everyone makes mistakes. Managers, be transparent with your team about mistakes happening so that they can trust you to come and they can learn from it and be better paid search marketers for it. For information about the information about that podcast and the full transcript, and not just the show notes, go to podcast.ppc.live. And talking about ppc.live and experts, bringing experts to you. We've got not just 2 or 3 or even just 4. We've got 5 experts who are going to be speaking at PPC Live 17 on Thursday, the 31st of July. I don't know how soon you're going to be hearing this to be able to buy tickets. So if you're hearing this at about 5:30 or after 5:30 on the 31st of July, sorry, too late. You probably missed it already by now. But if not, yes, we'd love to have you. Just go to ppc.live to get your tickets for that. There's going to be fantastic talks about Google Shopping, getting ahead of Google Ads, PMAX campaigns, preparing for Q4, talk about hidden search terms and the research that has been done showing that Google might be making a profit actually out of not showing us all our search terms, which means that poor performing search terms we can't exclude because they're just bunched up in the grouping of other search terms. So we're going to be talking about that with the fantastic Colin Slattery, who's come all the way from the US, who's spending the summer in the UK and who's going to be joining us for our PPC barbecue happening at Tug Agency in their rooftop office. Go to ppc.live if you're listening to this before Thursday afternoon. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see you at our next event on October the 22nd. So keep that for your diary. Also, before I leave you, I'm delighted to share that I am taking on coaching clients. So go to themarketinganu.com to find out my price, just to help you with your confidence in your career and ensuring you're on the right path and you're in control of your career. So go to the Marketing Anu for that. So I hope you've enjoyed the show and I look forward to bringing more PPC F-ups and triumphs next week. Thank you. Bye.